Welcome to my channel. I'm Gary Wuryawan, and today I want to revisit my favorite lens of all time, the Panasonic 12-35mm f2.8, and how it performs in 2022. Let's go! So recently, people have been asking me, am I still using the Panasonic 12-35mm 2.8? Is it still a good lens? Why didn't I bring it to my recent trips? And is it still a good performer in 2022? And now I'm going to address these questions. So for those who do not know, Panasonic 12-35mm f2.8 is my favorite lens of all time. It is my most used lens. I used the 12-35 for travel. I went to so many countries with this lens and it's been performing wonderfully. This is my main lens for photography and video. This is my general purpose lens. It can nails every kind of photography genres and also for all sorts of video. So this is a very flexible, versatile lens. Nowadays, I use this 12-35 a lot for recording B-rolls for my YouTube videos. So if you are watching one of my videos, chances are the B-rolls are shot using this lens right here. For my primary talking head, like what I'm doing right now with the footage of me talking to the camera, I use the Panasonic Leica 15mm f1.7. But before that, I used the 12-35 as well. So basically, if you need just one lens to do everything for recording talking heads, for recording B-rolls, for all sorts of photography, for all sorts of video needs, then 12-35 is one of those lenses. And now back to the questions at the beginning of the video. Is it still a good lens? Am I still using this lens? Will I still use this lens for future travel and for future use? And the answer is yes. Yes. This is a great lens, it produces great image quality, everything about this lens is just perfect. I'm still using it frequently and I will use it in the future as well. And by the way, I made a review about this lens a few years ago, so you can check it out on the card above, and that review is still valid, so please watch that review as well. But long story short, the image quality produced by this lens combined with its performance when it comes to autofocus speed as well as its features like weather sealing and also a very flexible zoom range makes it a very attractive lens, a very versatile zoom lens that you could ever have for micro four thirds. This lens is really great. It's so great that in fact it almost feels like using cheat code when you are playing video games. It makes everything easy. And that's why I really think that the 12-35 is my comfort lens. I can just slap this lens into my camera and know that I can get a really great result easily just using this lens. I am very comfortable with the focal length of this lens. I am very comfortable with the image quality of this lens, and also I am very comfortable with the performance and features of this lens. It's just such a very comfortable lens. And that's exactly my problem with this lens. Everything becomes easy, everything becomes comfortable, everything becomes quick, everything becomes perfect. You know what happens when something becomes too perfect? It becomes boring. Now for some of you who do not know, I'm not a professional photographer. I'm just a hobbyist, an enthusiast, someone who is really passionate about photography and video as a hobby. For professional photographers and videographer, result is everything. It is very important because if you cannot deliver great result, then people are not going to order them again and then they're not gonna get paid properly or something like that. They cannot really make money in the future. However, for us enthusiasts, we don't just care about the result. I mean, result is very important, of course, no denying about that. But also, as important as the result is the process itself, the enjoyment. Sometimes, I want something that gives me a little bit of a challenge. Not too much challenge, just a little bit, a tiny bit, because that little challenge can spark creativity and in turn make me more involved with the whole process of doing this whole photography thing. And in the end, ultimately, it will give me more enjoyment out of my hobby. And also, sometimes I want to slow down a little bit so that I can savor every process of doing this whole photography thing, so that I can become more thoughtful and also more intentional with my photography. Sometimes slowing down also gives me an opportunity to see things from different perspectives, and that's very important for me. So yes, the Panasonic 12-35mm f2.8 is a great lens. It has a very flexible focal length, it has great aperture, great image quality, also great performance and features. But sometimes I wanna have a little bit of challenge so that I can have a little bit more of that creative juice flowing in me, and also I wanna slow down a little bit so that I can become more thoughtful and intentional with my whole photography hobby. And because of that, nowadays I try to limit my use of the 12-35mm f2.8. Not because it's a bad lens, quite the contrary. As I said, it's the perfect lens. But nowadays I just use it for something that requires me to have something delivered really quick. So the 12-35 is used for all those instant, quick, time-sensitive kind of situations. So as an alternative to my 12-35, when I don't require quick result, then I will try to use more of my primes like the 20mm f1.7 by Panasonic, or the Olympus 45mm if I want something a little bit longer, or if I want something with a very nice background blur, then I will switch to my Olympus 75mm f1.8. This is a very nice lens when it comes to background blur. Just perfect. And also I try to use zoom lenses as well with focal length that is not as comfortable as the 12-35, such as my Panasonic Leica 8-18mm f2.8 f4 and also my 35-100mm. I'm not really a telephoto guy, so using the 35-100 a lot these days really changed my mind and changed my perspective as well. And as I said earlier, it makes me more creative, more thoughtful, more intentional, and I can see things from different perspectives nowadays. So in conclusion, it's not just about the result, but it's about the process as well, as I mentioned earlier. So don't worry, I will still use my 12-35 a lot. I will still bring it for future travels, especially if I travel to urban kind of destination when I'm going to do a lot of street photographies, food photographies, those kind of things, and also just general scenery. And also if I need something that can deliver me very quick result with good predictable image quality and performance, I will also rely on my 12-35mm. In conclusion, if you have a lens that you are very comfortable with, try to not use that lens and use something else instead. See if by not using that lens and use something else that you're not that familiar with can spark some creativity in you, and you can also enjoy the process more, and you can see things from new perspective, and you can find some new interesting things. That will surely make photography more fun and more enjoyable for all of us. And that wraps up today's video. So that is all for today's video. I hope that you find this video to be useful and enjoyable. And please comment down below, what is your most comfortable lens? And also if you have any questions about this video, please comment down below and let's try to have a little bit of discussion. Also, don't forget to support my small channel by liking this video, sharing this video, and subscribing to my channel down below. It will really help me to motivate me to keep making these videos for you. Thank you and goodbye.